Imagine waking up in your dream city, only to find it overwhelmed by endless crowds, noise, and soaring prices. That's the reality for many residents in Europe's most beloved destinations. In 2023, Europe saw nearly 3 billion overnight stays. Yes, you heard that right. But with every tourist flocking to these iconic spots, we inch closer to losing what makes them special. Picture historic streets turned into crowded walkways, local shops replaced by tourist traps, and once thriving communities driven out by skyrocketing rents. These places are at risk of becoming mere shadows of their former selves, beautiful but hollow. Today, we're diving into a critical issue: 15 European cities on the brink of being destroyed by overtourism. These are cities we love, but are we loving them to death? Stay tuned, and as we reveal each destination, think about the impact tourism has on the places we cherish. If you know other cities facing similar challenges, drop them in the comments below. This is Amazing Europe, and today's episode is an eye-opener. 15 European cities being destroyed by overtourism. First on our list is Venice, Italy. Known for its romantic canals and historic charm, Venice is struggling under the weight of millions of tourists each year. The city's population has dwindled, and locals are increasingly displaced by short-term rentals. Overcrowded streets and environmental concerns are turning this floating city into a sinking paradise. Next, we head to Barcelona, Spain. Famous for its vibrant culture and stunning architecture, Barcelona's residents are pushing back against the flood of tourists. La Rambla, once a local hub, is now overrun with visitors, while housing prices skyrocket, forcing locals out of their homes. Dubrovnik, Croatia, has seen a massive tourism boom, thanks in part to its role in Game of Thrones. But this UNESCO World Heritage Site is paying the price. The ancient city walls, designed to protect, now struggle under the strain of thousands of daily visitors. Local life is disappearing, and the city risks becoming a backdrop for selfies rather than a living, breathing community. Amsterdam, Netherlands, is a city known for its beautiful canals and liberal culture. However, it's also facing the negative effects of overtourism. The constant influx of visitors is putting a strain on the city's infrastructure, driving up housing costs, and turning residential areas into tourist hotspots. The balance between welcoming tourists and preserving local life is becoming increasingly difficult. Prague, Czech Republic, is another city feeling the weight of its popularity. Known for its stunning architecture and rich history, Prague's old town is often packed with tourists, leading to overcrowding and rising living costs for locals. The city is becoming a victim of its own beauty, as overtourism threatens its historic charm. Santorini, Greece, is a small island overwhelmed by a massive influx of tourists, especially during the summer months. The infrastructure struggles to cope with the number of visitors, and the environmental impact is significant. The island's natural beauty is at risk, as overtourism threatens to turn it into a victim of its own success. Reykjavik, Iceland, has seen an explosion in tourism in recent years, with visitors flocking to explore the country's natural wonders. But the rapid growth has put pressure on the city's infrastructure and the environment. There's a growing concern that the very landscapes attracting visitors could be damaged by their sheer numbers. Lisbon, Portugal is a city that has become a top destination for travelers. But the rise in short-term rentals and an influx of tourists are driving up housing prices, making it increasingly difficult for locals to afford living in the city's center. The cultural vibrancy of Lisbon is at risk as locals are pushed out in favor of tourist accommodation. Edinburgh, Scotland, is a city renowned for its history, festivals, and stunning architecture. However, during peak tourist season, especially around the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the city becomes incredibly crowded. The influx of visitors puts a strain on local services and drives up rents, making it harder for residents to live comfortably in their own city. The charm of Edinburgh's historic streets is being overshadowed by the pressures of overtourism. Rome, Italy, the eternal city, is struggling under the weight of its own popularity. Iconic landmarks like the Colosseum and Trevi Fountain are constantly swarming with tourists, while the narrow streets of historic districts are overcrowded. The city's infrastructure is straining and locals are feeling the impact of rising costs and the loss of traditional neighborhoods. Rome's history and culture are at risk of being buried under the tourist influx. Paris, France, the City of Light, attracts millions of tourists each year. While Paris is always a must-visit, the constant stream of visitors has led to overcrowded museums, congested streets, and skyrocketing prices in popular areas. The charm of Parisian life is increasingly out of reach for many locals, as the city grapples with the pressures of being one of the world's top tourist destinations. Hallat, Austria, is a small alpine village that looks like it was taken straight out of a fairy tale. However, its popularity on social media has turned this once peaceful village into a tourist hotspot. The small community of Hallat now faces an overwhelming number of visitors, which threatens to erode the village's charm and disrupt the lives of its residents. Brugge, Belgium, is often described as a medieval masterpiece with its cobblestone streets, winding canals, and historic buildings. However, this beauty comes with a cost. The city's small size makes it particularly vulnerable to the impacts of overtourism. The narrow streets can quickly become crowded, and the rising demand for tourist accommodation is driving locals away. Bruges risks becoming more of a museum than a living city. Porto, Portugal, with its stunning riverside views and rich history, has become an increasingly popular destination. But with popularity comes problems. The rise in tourism is causing housing prices to soar, and the historic center is becoming more of a playground for visitors than a home for locals. Porto's unique character is at risk of being diluted by the constant influx of tourists. Vienna, Austria, is a city known for its grand architecture, classical music, and rich cultural heritage. However, the surge in tourism has led to crowded squares, long lines at cultural sites, and rising prices in popular districts. The influx of tourists is putting pressure on the city's infrastructure and could threaten Vienna's status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The balance between preserving its cultural treasures and accommodating visitors is becoming increasingly challenging. These 15 cities are the jewels of Europe, but they're at risk of being loved to death. As travelers, we have the power to make a difference. Consider visiting during off-peak seasons, support local businesses, and be mindful of the impact you leave behind. Remember, these are not just tourist attractions, they're homes, histories, and cultures that deserve to be preserved. If you know other cities facing similar challenges, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights and explorations of amazing Europe. Thanks for watching, and let's travel responsibly.